Hi there, welcome back to English Building Blocks. Today we're going to talk about quantifiers, more specifically about the quantifiers any, some, and no, okay? Now remember, if you like these videos, please subscribe, okay? Thank you very much. And now, let's get started. So, let's begin with the quantifier any. We can use the quantifier any in affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences. Yes, but the meaning changes every time. Okay, so let's have a look. Firstly, the meaning of any in an affirmative sentence is free choice. You choose the number, okay? There is no restriction from 1 to any number you want. It will depend a little bit on the situation, okay? For example, you can phone me any hour of the day. I'll always answer my phone, okay? So you choose the hour. Right, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and so on. You have a free choice of the hour you want to phone me, okay? And that's why we use any. You can phone me any hour of the day, okay? Another example. I just love pasta, don't you? Any kind of pasta, really. You choose the pasta dish, I will love it, right? There are hundreds of pasta dishes, if not thousands, and I just love them all. You choose any pasta dish you want, I will love it, okay? And again, that's why we use any, okay? Now, secondly, in a negative sentence, however, the meaning of any is zero. Nothing, zero, okay? For example, I don't have any money in my wallet. So the amount or quantity of money in my wallet is zero, right? And that's why we use any in a negative sentence, okay? I don't have any money in my wallet. Another example. She doesn't have any free time. So she has zero free time. She's extremely busy, and that's why she doesn't have any free time. So you see, when we use any in a negative sentence, the meaning is zero, okay? And then lastly, when we use any in a question or in an interrogative construction, then the meaning is a certain quantity. It's not a big quantity, no, but it's not a small quantity either. It's a normal, neutral quantity, okay? For example, have you seen any bicycles on the road? So we use here any in a question, and the meaning is, have you seen a normal quantity of bicycles on the road? Not a big quantity, but not a small quantity either. A normal quantity, okay? And that's why we use any in a question. Have you seen any bicycles on the road? Okay? Another example. Are there any supermarkets in this neighborhood? So again, I'm asking if there is a normal quantity of supermarkets in this neighborhood. I'm not asking if there is a big quantity or a small quantity. No, a normal quantity of supermarkets. Okay? And that's why I use any in an interrogative sentence. Are there any supermarkets in this neighborhood? Okay. Now, let's have a look at the quantifier some. So the quantifier some can be used only in affirmative and interrogative sentences. We don't use some in a negative sentence, okay? And in both cases, in affirmative and interrogative, the meaning is a certain quantity. So again, this means not a big quantity, but not a small quantity either. Just a normal, neutral quantity, okay? For example, I have some questions for you. So I don't have a big quantity of questions, but it's not a small quantity either. It's just a normal quantity of questions, and that's why I use some. I have some questions for you. Okay, another example. Do you have some chairs I could borrow? So again, I need a certain quantity of chairs. It's not a big quantity, but it's not a small quantity either. It's just a normal quantity of chairs. And that's why I use some. Do you have some chairs I could borrow? Now, in this last example, I have used some in interrogative, okay? Now, next up, the quantifier no. So, the quantifier no is only used in affirmative sentences. Do not use it in negative sentences, okay? Or interrogative for that matter. We only use it in affirmative sentences, okay? And the meaning obviously is zero. No means zero, okay? For example, there were no mistakes to be found. And this means there were zero mistakes to be found, okay? And that's why we use no. There were no mistakes to be found, okay? Another example. I have no time to answer your questions, okay? I have zero time to answer your questions, and that's why I use no. I have no time, okay? Now, let's have a look at some observations. So, the first observation. Now, you may have noticed that some and any, when used in an interrogative construction, have the same meaning. They both mean a certain quantity. Not a big quantity, but not a small quantity either. So what is the difference between some and any when used in a question? Well, basically, we normally use any, okay? That's what we normally do. We normally use any. However, when we offer something or we ask for something, then and only then we use some, okay? For example, are there any bakeries nearby? So imagine I've just moved into this neighborhood, right? And I want to know if there are certain bakeries. Not a big amount, but not a small amount either. I want some choice, right? And that's why I use any, okay? Are there any bakeries nearby? Okay. Another example. Are there any good restaurants in London? So imagine I'm going to London for 4 or 5 days, right? And I want to eat properly. So I'm asking you if there are any good restaurants there. Not a big amount, but not a small amount either. I want to eat well every single day, right? And that's why I use any. Are there any good restaurants? Okay. Now, on the other hand, imagine you come to my house and I offer you some coffee. And I can ask you then that question, would you like some coffee? So here I use some because I'm offering you some coffee, okay? Now, you can drink 1, 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee if you want to, okay? It's a normal quantity of coffee, okay? Then you accept the coffee, of course, and you ask me, could I have some sugar, please? So in this case, you are asking for some sugar, okay? So again, as you are asking for something, I need to use the quantifier some, okay? So remember, we normally use any in an interrogative construction, except when you offer or ask for something, because then you need to use some, okay? Now, the second observation. Again, you may have noticed that any in a negative sentence has the same meaning as no in an affirmative sentence. Both mean zero. Okay? Now, what is the difference? Well, again, we normally use any. Okay? However, when we want to give extra emphasis, then we use no, okay? For example, there isn't any ice cream left. I'll buy some this afternoon. So this is a normal negative sentence. So there is zero ice cream, a normal observation in this case. And I say I'll buy some this afternoon, okay? On the other hand, if I say there is no smoking allowed in this building, then I want to give extra emphasis. I want to make clear that you cannot smoke in this building. And that's why I use no. There is no smoking allowed in this building, okay? Now, we can use these quantifiers any, some, and no in compounds as well. Now, what is a compound? Well, basically, this means that you take two separate words and you link them, you join them into one single word, okay? And we can do so with these quantifiers any, some, and no. For example, we can say anything, something, or nothing. Anybody, somebody, or nobody. Okay? Or anywhere, somewhere, and nowhere. All right? And when we do this, we make these compounds with these quantifiers, then the meanings do not change. Okay? The meanings remain the same. For example, let's take anywhere. Now, when we use anywhere in an affirmative sentence, then the meaning is that you have a free choice of places. You can freely choose the place. For example, you can go anywhere you want to. So you choose the place you want to go to. You have a free choice, okay? And that is the meaning of anywhere in an affirmative sentence. But if we use anywhere in a negative sentence, then the meaning is zero places, okay? For example, I can't find my glasses anywhere. I've looked in all imaginable places and I have found my glasses in zero places, okay? And that's why we use anywhere in a negative sentence, okay? Now, if we use anywhere in an interrogative construction in a question, then the meaning is a certain quantity of places, not a big quantity of places, not a small quantity of places, just a normal quantity of places. Okay, for example, is there anywhere quiet we can talk? So maybe there are 2, 3, 4 different places, quiet places we can talk. You choose which one to go to, but I just need one place, okay? And that's why we use anywhere in an interrogative sentence, okay? Then, on the other hand, if we use, for example, somebody, then again, in this case, it's a certain amount of people. Not a big quantity of people, not a small quantity of people, just a normal quantity of people. For example, we all need somebody to love, okay? So we need to love people. Maybe we don't need to love a big amount of people or a small amount of people, but we need to love some people, right? And that's why we use somebody in an affirmative sentence. On the other hand, if we use, for example, nothing, and remember, we always use this in an affirmative sentence, then the meaning is 0 things, okay? For example, there was nothing prepared. So this means basically there were 0 things prepared, right? And that's why we use nothing in an affirmative sentence, okay? And now let's talk about the word none. So none is basically the pronoun of the word no and has that meaning of 0. But as I've mentioned, it is a pronoun, and this means it is used on its own without a following noun, okay? Now you have the possibility of using the expression none with a following noun, but then you need to add off. None off, okay? For example, I asked for some volunteers, but none raised their hands. None, 0 people, nobody, none raised their hands, okay? Now you see that we use none without a following noun, okay? We use it as a pronoun. Another example now with none off. None of my students knew the answer to this question. Okay, so here we use it with a following noun, but then we need to use the expression none of. None of my students knew the answer to this question. Okay. Okay then, let's sum up. We can use these quantifiers any, some and no to express a quantity, okay? But what is that quantity? Well, that depends on the use of these quantifiers. If you use any in an affirmative sentence, then the meaning is free choice. Okay, if you use any in a negative sentence, then the meaning is 0. Okay, and any in an interrogative construction means that it is a certain quantity, not a big quantity, but not a small quantity either. On the other hand, when we use some in an affirmative or interrogative sentence, then the meaning is also that certain quantity, not a big quantity, but not a small quantity either, okay? And no is only used in affirmative sentences and means 0, okay? Now, that is it for today. I hope you have learned something, and if so, click the notification bell, subscribe, okay, give a thumbs up, or just leave a comment down below, okay? Now, again, thank you for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.